A family is enjoying their vacation on their yacht in the middle of the Caribbean Sea. Julia, the mother, jumps into the water for a swim. While relaxing, she suddenly feels something strange touching her from below. She looks around but sees nothing, so she thinks maybe it was her imagination. A few seconds later, she feels the same strange sensation again. This time she becomes scared and starts swimming back toward the yacht. Suddenly, something grabs her leg and pulls her underwater. She screams for help, but her daughter Casey is listening to music with her headphones on, so she hears nothing. Her husband Tom and son Ben are busy fishing. Julia struggles to stay above water, but she keeps swallowing water and begins to choke. After a while, Tom realizes he hasn't seen Julia for too long. He looks around the yacht and then sees his wife in danger. He calls the kids, turns the yacht toward her, and immediately dives into the water. He quickly reaches Julia, holds her, and swims back toward the yacht. The kids help pull both of them up. The family comforts Julia, but she convinces herself that maybe the waves caused it. That night, the family celebrates Ben's birthday. Casey gets a video call from her boyfriend, so she goes outside with her laptop. In the call, her boyfriend shows her that huge dark clouds are covering the city. Suddenly, the call glitches and freezes. Casey returns to tell her family, but Tom says maybe the signal is weak because they are far from land. At that moment, they hear a strange sound. They all go outside and see a large group of whales passing near their yacht. Tom explains that whales follow the Earth's magnetic field, but when a storm approaches, they get confused. Suddenly, the yacht shakes violently, and Ben falls. Tom worries that the yacht might be damaged, so he dives underwater to check. A few minutes later, he returns to the surface with a deep cut on his shoulder. Julia quickly stitches the wound. Tom says he felt something huge moving behind him in the water, but when he turned around, the yacht's propeller cut his shoulder. He says, whatever that thing was, it was very big. Communication fails. Tom sees that the yacht has suffered a lot of damage, so they need a call for help. Julia keeps trying a radio. Casey tries to find a phone signal. Nothing works. Suddenly, Casey sees a strange figure and screams, but it is just Ben wearing a mask to scare her. A little while later, the yacht completely shuts down and becomes stuck in the middle of the ocean. Julia hears a voice on the radio, but the signal is so broken that she cannot understand anything. Tom tells the family they only have 4 days of food and water left. Now they must wait for a fishing boat to pass by. Suddenly, the radar detects something and the family hears a strange rumbling sound. They rush outside and see multiple fireballs falling from the sky. Wherever the fireballs hit the water, huge explosions occur. One fireball lands close to their yacht. Tom immediately tries to start the engine. It barely starts, but before they can escape, another fireball hits the area behind them. The family panic. Then Tom realizes something shocking. These are not meteors. These are satellites falling down. Ben then notices smoke coming from the yacht. Tom checks and confirms the engine is totally damaged. The wind starts getting stronger, so the family hides inside the yacht. They do not notice that the waves are rising rapidly and smashing into the yacht. Ben falls again and this time gets injured. Suddenly the power goes out. Tom quickly presses a switch in the power box and the lights return. Ben notices blood dripping from Julia's nose. She feels dizzy. Casey runs to the sink and vomits. Tom keeps trying a radio, but there is still no signal. Suddenly, a loud, high-pitched noise fills the air, and the wind becomes even stronger. Julia tries to close the door, but a hatch bursts open, and the wind starts breaking the windows. Tom lights a flare. A few moments later, everything goes dark. Morning, the ocean has disappeared. In the morning, the family wakes up and is shocked. They survive the storm, but the yacht is half destroyed. When they go outside, they cannot believe their eyes. The entire sea has disappeared. The yacht is now stuck on dry land. Casey checks her phone. No signal at all. Ben plays with 2 dead crabs. Tom checks a compass. It is completely reversed. This last happened 700,000 years ago. Tom says. Casey thinks her boyfriend might be dead and breaks down. Julia tries to comfort her, but she pushes her away and hides. Julia and Tom check their remaining supplies. Ben ties his birthday balloons to a rock, hoping another survivor might see them. Tom tries the radio again, and this time he finally connects with someone, a man named Now, a submarine captain. Now's submarine is also stuck on land. He confirms that the magnetic poles have reversed, which is why the ocean pulled back and the land has collapsed. He says he hasn't seen any other survivors, and communication systems are completely down. He warns the family. The poles will reverse again. The ocean will return, maybe in 1 week. When it comes back, the water will be extremely dangerous. Climb to higher ground. He says his partner died in the crash, and his submarine only has space for 3 people. Julia and Tom beg him, "Please save our children." Now gives them his coordinates. Tom calculates it will take 2 or 3 days to reach the submarine. He tells the family, "Rest tonight. Tomorrow morning, we start walking." The next morning, while the family is packing, Tom sees something moving nearby. It is a limping man with a harpoon in his hand and a dog barking continuously. Tom approaches him and gives him a bottle of water. But the man speaks in a strange language Tom cannot understand. After drinking the water, the stranger suddenly hits Tom on the head with the bottle and kicks him hard in the face. Julia tries to run, but it's too late. The man drives a harpoon straight into Tom's stomach. Tom struggles for a few seconds, and then the man cuts his throat. The man then chases Julia and throws the harpoon at her, injuring her shoulder. Julia runs inside the yacht and tells the kids to hide. She locks the door. Casey and Ben hide inside the couch. Julia gives them a flare gun and takes a knife, hiding inside the bathroom. The man keeps banging on the door until he breaks in. He eats some food and then starts searching everywhere. He reaches the bathroom, but Julia escapes through a small hole. As she quietly tries to move away, the man's dog sees her and starts barking. The dog jumps at her. Julia stabs it and kills it. The man runs outside and becomes furious after seeing his dead dog. Julia tries to climb back into the yacht from another broken window, but the man reaches there first. He punches her hard and she falls down. She tries to grab furniture to get up, but he kicks her away. He steps on her wrist to make her drop the knife, grabs her hair, smashes her face into the floor, and then begins choking her on the couch. The kids are watching all of this. Casey suddenly shoots the flare gun. It hits the man directly. He catches fire and the yacht begins burning. The kids run, and Julia kicks the man away, grabs a map and bag, and escapes. Ben and Casey run to Tom's body and cry. Julia joins them, and the 3 say a final goodbye. Just then, the burning man comes out of the yacht again. Still alive, the family runs. A moment later, the yacht explodes. After walking for a while, they rest near a small waterfall. Casey thinks maybe the crazy man saw Ben's balloons, which made him come to the yacht. Ben feels guilty. Julia tells him it's not his fault and urges everyone to keep moving. On the way, they find a dead hammerhead shark near a small pond. Julia notices the killer is approaching again. The family runs and falls down a sand dune where they see toxic waste. They carefully cross it and think they finally escaped him. As they continue walking, they see hundreds of dead sea animals and piles of plastic that once lay at the bottom of the ocean. Ben starts walking slowly. Julia realizes he is dehydrated. She checks their bottle and gets shocked. It's almost empty. Casey realizes she forgot to close the lid properly. Julia yells at her, saying her carelessness wasted the water. Casey replies, "What difference does it make? We're not going to survive anyway." They argue for a long time, but continue walking. After some time, they find a crashed airplane. Something moves inside, but it turns out to be birds. They decide to spend the night there. They share some snacks. Julia finds an old family photo in Tom's jacket and gets emotional. Casey asks, "Mom, what was your and Dad's love story?" Julia smiles and says Tom was her patient at the hospital. One day he expresses love by giving her a flower and a poem. While she is telling the story, the killer suddenly appears and tries to grab her from behind. Julia quickly attacks him and stabs him repeatedly until he dies. Casey hugs her and calms her down. The next morning, the man's body is covered with insects. The family notices bite marks on his body, meaning a dangerous creature lives in that area. As they walk away, crabs crawl out of the man's mouth. After some hours, Ben walks ahead and tries to drink water from a pond. Julia immediately pulls him back and warns him that unknown water can make him sick. The heat becomes very strong. They find some old chairs and build a small shelter. Julia gives Ben an injection and decides they will spend the night there. In the morning, she hears a strange noise. A huge swarm of crabs is approaching. She wakes the kids, and they all run. They find a large cargo ship and see 3 crew members alive. One woman wants to help them, but the two men refuse and lock themselves inside a container. The crabs arrive. Julia helps the kids climb onto the container. When she tries to climb, the crabs bite her leg. The kids pull her up just in time. The crabs start entering the container through a small hole. The crew members start shooting, but the crabs overpower and kill them all. Julia ties a bandage on her leg and passes out. Later, she wakes up in the middle of a sandstorm. Alone, she panics and searches for the kids. She picks up a dead woman's weapon and shouts for them. Casey hears her and returns, saying she and Ben want to look for help but found no one. They find Ben in an open container. He used to hide from the storm. Julia burns her own wound to close it. It is extremely painful. After the storm ends, they find another container filled with water bottles. While checking the bodies, they also find a radio and a gun. Julia contacts Now and tells him they lost the map. Now explains that arthropods attacked them. He also says they are now oxygen-starved and have become aggressive. He warns them again. The ocean will return sooner than expected. You only have a few hours left. He fires a flare into the sky. The family begins walking in that direction. After a long walk, they find a broken toilet, where Ben quickly urinates. Finally, they see the submarine, but to reach it, they must cross a dangerous rocky path. As they walk, the walls begin to shake and rocks fall everywhere. A massive rock slide happens. Julia pushes her children aside just in time. A stone wall falls between them, separating the mother from her kids. Julia tells them to go ahead without her. Casey refuses and insists that Julia must climb. They argue for a long time. Julia promises she will find them later. Casey, crying, drags Ben forward to the submarine. When they reach the submarine, they find Now covered in blood. He says he is dying, and the kids should take the submarine. Thinking there might be an extra seat, Casey runs back to find her mother. Julia sees the crabs coming and starts shooting at them. She kills several, but more keep coming. Casey appears on top of the wall and reaches her hand down. Julia climbs up as fast as she can despite her injured leg. Casey pulls her up, and they run toward the submarine. Ben is already shooting to keep the crabs distracted. As soon as the crabs reach Now's body, they begin eating him. Julia keeps shooting while the kids climb inside. When they are safe, Julia realizes the bullets are finished. She throws the gun at the crabs and climbs inside. They lock the hatch and watch through the window as crabs surround the submarine. They immediately sit in their seats with the belts and hold hands tightly. Huge waves begin tossing the submarine violently. Julia sees visions from the entire journey. Casey throws up. The loud, high-pitched noise returns. The family faints. After some time, Julia and the kids wake up. They are alive. They unlock the hatch and step outside. The waves have carried the submarine to a destroyed city. This means they have survived, and there is hope to start a new life. And thus the story ends.